That's a step in the right direction.
Hello, everybody. It's that time of the week yet again. Gen Z reviews. We're talking about The Fifth Element. For whatever reason, I wanted to say Pan's Labyrinth, so I'm really tripping balls today. For whatever reason, we're not talking about Pan's Labyrinth. This is equally weird, like Pan's Labyrinth. Very different movies. We have a pretty exciting panel of people with different experiences that we're going to be talking about this with. It's not just us three. Luke and I, this was my first time watching it. Luke has seen it before, a theatrical run, and then Ty saw it a long time ago when he was young. He rewatched it again today. And then we're also joined by two other great YouTubers, content creators, creative minds to talk about this movie. And I think it's going to get a little heated today. Because I did not like this at all. I think there's a lot of flaws with it. I think a lot of us youngins here believe the same. And we're catching a lot of flack on X. So we have some other audience members here that are going to be inputting their thoughts, and they definitely are way more into it than us. I can see how if you grew up with this, how you would, view it differently. But, watching this just for the first time here, I think it was a tough watch. I'm going to be honest. But you know what? We're encouraging here. We hope you love the movie. We're not trying to sour anybody. We're just going to have fun, lively conversation. Before I move on, though, and introduce our guests, if you like what we're doing at the channel and you want to support us, please check out our memberships. We have two different tiers, and I'm having a great time updating my membership content. I love getting a lot of physical media, kind of inspired by another great YouTuber, Wilkie's Movies and Music. I love doing my reveals of all the cool nerdy stuff I have going on, buying Blu-rays, 4Ks and such. And it's also just a fun opportunity to just talk about more personal stuff with me. So if you're interested, check out my membership options. But nevertheless, I'm just thankful for you all for joining us here today. And I'm thankful for you two guests, co-host Luke and particular critic X, for joining as well. But let's not waste any time. Let's introduce our other two guests, both familiars of the channel. Starting off with Sin. Good to see you, Sin.
Good to see you.
Pleasure.
As well.
Did you say this was your first time watching Fifth Element, or you've seen it before?
No, I've seen it at least 2 or 3 times before. So
okay.
I recently rewatched it the other day in preparation for this, obviously.
Respect. And you have a nice background today. It's like you're in Japan.
I'm at my brother's house, and these are my sound panels. There's Batman, there's Beastmaster, that's my avatar, and there's Joker's back there behind me.
Oh, cool, sweet. For whatever reason, I thought it was like Japan, like the walls with like the paintings,
they're
watercolor.
They're movable panels, and I'm just surrounded by them.
Nice. Hey, whatever works. That's awesome. And then, of course, you know what? He's been very active in the chat many times. I've had the pleasure of streaming with him on other people's channels. This is his debut, though, on Box Office Brawler. It is Gourd King, also known as the Papa Pumpkin. What's up, man?
Hey, how y'all doing? Excited to be here. This was only my second time watching this. I did not grow up with this movie at all. Watched it only for the first time maybe 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I'm not super surprised by first-time reactions being sort of negative to this. I'm actually a little curious as to why there weren't more negative reactions for a lot of people when this first came out, because it is a strange movie. But it is a good movie. And the assertion that this is the worst movie you've ever covered is kind of ridiculous. I mean, you've covered Modern Superman, 28 Weeks Later, Kingdom of Heaven, Bloodsport, Godfather 3, and Van
Oh my
Helsing.
goes,
Those are
seriously? Okay, wait, now Van Helsing's fun.
Films.
Wait a second. Okay, I said this is the worst movie we've covered at Gen Z Reviews, okay? Not including any modern titles. All the old titles.
You said in all the 37 episodes.
So I think every episode.
Godfather 3 is older than this.
Well, I think all 30.
Just accept you're getting.
Bloodsport is older.
I'm
than
getting
this.
chewed out, bro. I'm
You're
getting chewed
getting
out.
chewed out.
I'm used to it, bro. I'm used to it. I'll take it. Well, this is what's great and what we love about streaming every Tuesday is we really have positive things to say every week. We don't really have much negative energy here. I mean, we have a great time talking about all these classics. And, Godfather 3, you make a good point there. I actually really enjoyed Godfather 3, but I think there was so many problems with it, though. I do agree.
I didn't dislike watching Godfather 3, but I think it's a bad film. I think it's a really bad movie. It's certainly way off track with the other two, but there's enough about it that's fun to watch, that I find it relatively enjoyable. That's actually true of a lot of the movies I just named. Not Kingdom of Heaven. I think the movie's super boring. Bloodsport, I think, is very silly and very stupid, but it's super enjoyable.
This is how stupid it is, though.
Yeah. Van Helsing is really fun, but it's really stupid.
It embraces the stupid, though. That's the thing a lot of the time. I feel like this movie is just trying, it's like, I think it tries to take itself seriously a lot of the time, and then there's like moments where it embraces how stupid it is. And for me, it's just frustrating.
I'll strongly disagree on that. I think this movie, and I mentioned this backstage, tonally, I would put this right on the same wavelength as something like The Mummy. It's earnest in its approach, that it's more or less telling its story, and it's not winking at the audience, but the filmmaking, the craft has a self-awareness to it where it's very absurd. I mean, this is an absurd take. This is like an animated movie in live action. But for me, it's like it's always just a question of, if we're judging quality, it's like, is it consistent with its own rules, that kind of thing. Not necessarily how do I react to it emotionally, because like I said backstage, the first time I saw this, I was not sure how I felt about it. I was like, that was weird. I wasn't even totally sure what was going on, because they kind of throw a lot of information at you for a very simple story, but a lot of that turns out to be world building and stuff. And I'll say this also, the second time I watched it, I found it considerably funnier. I actually laughed quite a lot watching this, but I think this is a good movie, not a great movie. I think it has a great deal of charm to it, but I'm actually a little surprised more people have not reacted negatively the first time they watch this. I think this is a movie that the second and third watch benefits it considerably.
I think you're
I
probably
agree.
right about that.
I agree with that. I did not dislike it when I first watched it, but I was like, I'm not super huge into sci-fi, which this is, but rewatches of it have helped me to appreciate it more, especially this latest one.
Do you remember the first time you saw it, Sen?
Oh gosh, no. It's been so long.
Was it 97?
No, I don't think it was. I did not see it on the big screen. I didn't see it till it came out either DVD or VHS, but I could not tell you when. It's probably been at least 10 years, maybe.
Well,
What's funny for me is the first time I watched it, which was maybe about 2 years ago, I want to say, I always thought from afar it looked very weird. And knowing it was Luc Besson who directed it, I expected it to be very weird. It was very weird, and yet it still surprised me, because I was like, I didn't know what kind of weird to expect, because I've never known him to be especially funny with his movies, but this one was very strongly going for the comedic angle. And I was like, but because they're saying a lot of stuff that I don't know what they're talking about, the first time I was like, I don't know if it is funny, because I'm not sure what I'm hearing from a lot of these characters. I'm not really sure of the world I'm in, but rewatching it again and having the context of it, I'm like, actually, this is really funny.
It is funny. Yeah.
I could see how that helps. I mean, I think for me, I'm kind of hard when it comes to pleasing me with comedy. And really, none of us were laughing. Were we laughing, guys? Ty, were you laughing? I don't think we laughed a single moment.
The first time I watched it either. I didn't the first time I watched it either. I thought this was weird.
The majority of the time that we were watching that movie, I was just like making fun of every character. Like, you're dumb. You're not doing the right things. You're stupid. Like, it's just. And
I think we're all about absurdist too. I mean, we like the silliness, but
yeah, absolutely. Like I was talking to Jackson and Galliardo like during our movie night. I was like, at the beginning of this movie, I was like, this movie's great. Like I remember this movie being so amazing, and then at the end, I was like, yikes. Just yikes.
Good time to be frozen.
That's all
I know, right?
Just yikes.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, but here, let's get right into the material, though, because, I like that we kind of just talk about random moments, but the way I like to do this is I like to kind of break down the movie into little pieces, and then we talk about it piece by piece. And, the introduction is, well, first off, for anybody that isn't familiar with Fifth Element, I'm always curious to know, like, people that join the streams or watch and replay, if they watch them because they like the movie, or if they watch the stream because they want to learn about it. So hopefully, for both audiences, you get a little taste of what this is, and maybe you'll be encouraged to watch it or discouraged. We'll see by the end of this. But in case you're not familiar with the film, we follow Bruce Willis's character. He's Korben Dallas. He's an ex-soldier turned cab driver, and he becomes like an unlikely protector of this really strange lady named Leeloo. And she's pretty much a perfect humanoid that was created to stop an ancient cosmic evil that awakens every 5,000 years. It's very obscure, very strange. And together, it doesn't even sound like a real story what I tell you about this. Together, with the help of a priest and a chaotic radio host, Chris Tucker, this is the most Chris Tucker you'll ever see him in your life.
He's so Chris Tucker in here.
Yeah, they all come together to recover all 4 of the elemental stones that, when combined with Leeloo, who is sort of the perfect specimen, the 5th element, they are able to protect the world from total annihilation. Like, this really just sounds pretty crazy. And, like you said, Gord King, this is a crazy, absurdist movie. And I think, I'm excited. I want you to convince me why this is great. I would love that. Based on first reaction, this was my first time watching it. I did not have a great time with this. I think the younger generation, Gen Z, we have like a totally different, we have a totally different taste in comedy. It's strange. We watch a lot of old takes from SNL. It's the classic example of your parents showing you, a clip they loved when they were younger. And then you're watching it, it just doesn't really hit you. It's strange how that works, because there's a lot of times when I'm trying to show my parents or, people that are older than me, a lot of things I think are funny and that kind of, are popular with, Gen Z people, and they don't get it. So I think it's just strange how people, I don't know, there's a disconnect there. And that might have been the case with this. This might just not resonate well with younger audiences. I'm not exactly sure. I know it didn't necessarily with us 3, but, just going into the very beginning, it starts off in a really strange sequence here. We start off in 1914. We're in an Egyptian temple, and we are following a few archaeologists. They're uncovering this prophecy about this cosmic evil that we just mentioned. I think it's considered the great evil here. And like I said, it surfaces every 5,000 years. And this is a damning reveal, because, humans weren't exactly supposed to see this. And this priest comes out of nowhere, and he has been conspiring with this alien race, who at first seems to be adversarial, is actually kind of protectors of humanity. And they are interested in safeguarding Earth from this evil that is going to be coming 300 years later from this moment. What's strange about this entrance is these aliens, let me pull up a picture. They are really awkward. This has to be the most awkward character design I've ever seen.
You know what they remind me of? The Skeksis from the Dark Crystal.
Are those like the big bird people?
Very Hitchhiker's Guide. That'd be another one that I would like. But I think but given the aesthetic of pretty much all of the alien races, I'm like, it's pretty fitting for the movie. I think it's a good tone setter, because I remember the first time I looked at them, I was like, oh, okay, this is weird looking. It's very odd looking, but I think their design's a pretty good tone setter. It's very odd.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you think
not as humanoid as I think we tend to get used to, which in a way I like that, though, because that separates it from other sci-fi movies. Because one thing I noticed watching it this time is there's some similar plot beats in this that there are in like A New Hope, but I like that the aliens are so much different looking than something you would find in Star Wars, because Star Wars tends to have a lot more like humanoid type aliens, aside from ones like Jabba the Hutt or something like that. A lot of their aliens just look like people in costumes, because they are. Whereas these definitely look more like alien, like odd, different from people.
Well, something strange about that is like this is, I think, there's only, I think, one other small example of an alien we see that isn't humanoid, which is that strange little baby elephant, disgusting alien thing that Gary Oldman has as a pet, or whatever that thing is. Because I mean, a lot of the rest of the aliens.
Maybe I should clarify. I guess maybe what I mean by humanoid. I guess because like the main antagonist aliens, I'm not really lumping in with that, because it's more their faces look like humanoid. I think to me it'd be, if we're going by this movie, would be like the diva. That's relatively humanoid.
Mm-hmm.
That's
okay, true.
A lady in a costume has a pretty human face and whatnot, more or less a human anatomy and whatnot. Whereas the main antagonist ones, it's like there's similarities, but not quite as humanoid as what I'm talking about, I guess.
Mm. Well, that's interesting. You're mentioning like this sets the tone well. What do you mean by that? Like his
As far as like
entrance.
the type of alien designs we're going to see is that they
Okay.
almost look funny themselves. Like when you first see these, it's kind of funny looking. Like it's almost hard to
is.
take. It's kind of hard to take seriously the first
Yeah, and the
time
way
you
they
see it.
walk, kind of
Yeah, it's like they look like turtles. They're funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's where it's like, for me, Gord King, this was the first red flag. Was I really don't. I think they could have done something way more cinematic with this. And you know what I'm going to mention, of course, is when this giant round alien thing, it's ultra advanced. It's a, I think it's genetically created, wasn't it? Wasn't there some sort of revelation not long after where these things were sort of like created beings, that they weren't just like an alien race? I don't know.
Every being is a created being. How dare
Well,
you?
I mean, like manufactured, like manufactured by somebody.
I don't. I'll be honest. I don't recall.
Okay. Well, the only reason why I'm bringing that
possibly.
up is like, obviously these things are very advanced. And I mean, look, we're in 1914. Here they are. They come in this spaceship that looks like a floating turd. And obviously they have a lot of authority here. Respect, right? But for as great as he is, this alien thing here is put in a life or death situation where he needs to escape the tomb before it closes him in for all eternity. And all he could do is slowly waddle in. And it's like, when I saw that, I mean, that was funny to me, of course. I don't know how you don't laugh at that. But when I see that, I just don't. For me, it's a red flag, thinking that I can't really take this movie that seriously. Because, that was sort of supposed to be a serious moment that we were supposed to like reflect on.
Well, what's the inherent problem with it, though?
I mean,
if this is the okay, I mean, like just taking this, internally as a serious species, what's wrong with them having the? I guess, I mean, if you want to call that like a biological weakness, that they move kind of slow and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't get the feeling that they're warriors or fighters or anything.
I mean,
like
if their biology and their appearance or physiognomy is what it is, I mean, it's like, okay, so they're going to have a weakness, and yes, it's going to be, I guess, a danger if that thing shuts. But the reason why I kind of didn't mind it, aside from just that particular practical element to it, I'm like, I don't think its design is inherently bad. I mean, if it has that weakness and it moves slow, it does. But the being itself did not seem to mind too much whether or not it survived or not, because its goal is greater than that. Mm-hmm. Because I tend to agree. It's like if that thing shuts on it, it dies, and that's that for it. But its attitude seemed to be, I mean, if that's what happens,
it was super chill.
So, yeah, it's pretty chill about it, because it's like it has a greater goal in mind. Which, if it does actually happen to be a manufactured being and that's its purpose, that makes significantly more sense.
True, yeah, like its life doesn't really have that much value. I know it's such a silly thing to dissect, and I don't want to dissect it necessarily.
Oh no, I don't think that's silly to dissect at all. I think that's a completely fair question to ask.
I think it's like, first impressions. I wish people would ask
more questions about that with various things like that. I think we see so many aliens and creatures get introduced haphazardly into movies that we don't think about the practicality of how they're implemented. And I think those are fair questions to ask, because so many people tend to just accept them as being what they are. And they don't realize that if you're not asking questions, you're kind of grandfathering in any rule the creator of the alien species wants there to be for any convenient purpose. And that's not good. There should be rules. There should be things that are evident about things like this, because that I think it helps you to understand the internal logic you're operating in.
Well, you know what? It's funny, like you talking about all that. Just imagine all the millions of people that watch the Star Wars sequels, and they just didn't have any problems with these idiot, stupid aliens that they just throw into the mix because they look cool.
Exactly.
It's like, I think one of them that comes to mind is I don't even know if this character had a name or anything, but I remember when Force Awakens was coming out, there was this one guy, and he was sitting next to, he's like seated down. He kind of looks like a giant fat version of like Bosk in a way. He's not a Trandoshan, but he had a really distinct look, and he looked important. It looked like we were going to see a lot of him, and he was sitting next to this like skimpy alien girl in some like striped outfit. And I thought we were going to see so much into that character, that there was going to be some deep lore, maybe, why is he the way he is? And no, just a little nod in the corner. And it just, that whole
it's
promotion just had no impact at all.
Well, it kind of reminds me of, and there's that line in Jurassic Park where Ellie's telling Hammond, you have plants in this building that are poisonous, but you pick them because they look good. That often is the attitude of a lot of writers who just throw in creatures just for their aesthetic value without considering how they behave should affect like the surroundings of the scene they're in some way, shape, or form that they're not considering. They're just throwing them in there to add color and to add decor to their scene. They're not really thinking it over, and I think it's important that you do.
Yeah. And that, respect to the guy that made this, because you know what? That's something this movie deserves a nod for, is everybody, even all the like weird, freaky looking people that look like they're totally like spaced out. They kind of like, they act like they're spaced out, and they don't really add any particular, they don't know what's going on later on when we see them. And I think like they look like dopey idiot characters, and they are dopey idiot characters. And they kind of, they kind of pose issues later on as well. So respect to him for that, right? I mean, he knew, he gave them some value at the end. They're not just, articles on the screen. But, moving on.
The designer worked on Men in Black, by the way.
I thought it looked so similar. That's funny. That makes sense. I think we have so many different costumes we're going to be kind of like jumping through here. Man, the costumes here, man. No, it did not work for me. We'll get to that. But, next up, of course, this is, 1914. This was a long time ago. We then jump to the future, 300 years past. Let me get back to, we jump to the future, 300 years past from this event. And of course, the great evil arrives as was foreseen before. And the great evil, it comes in the form of a giant, fiery, all-consuming planet. And it's very strange. It kind of reminded me of like the black fart cloud that was Galactus in the old Fantastic Four movie.
I got that too.
So that's sort of what I was thinking here. And of course, this is when we see the fifth element. She comes into the picture as the the human alien. They I don't know if it's like America or some institution. They bring in just this hand or this like some piece of a body, and they're able to, for whatever reason, rebuild the person that was from the wreckage. And you're
not sure if it's America. Are you talking about the people in charge of it?
Yeah.
I felt like
it is. It's the president of the United States is Tiny Lister. Yeah.
Well, he calls it like Federation or something. I got the feeling that it was more like he was just president of all the humans, or like maybe there weren't even countries. I don't know.
I was wondering about that too. It wasn't exactly clear because I looked it up and I saw it was
him
like
president of the United States. They don't.
Yeah,
I don't think
it's
they
like
call
I guess
him
because
that.
I usually associate the term president with. Yeah. I mean, it might be president of. He might be like a galactic president, which
humanity or something. Yeah. I don't know.
Most futuristic films tend to lean towards making the planet like kind of a global government.
Yeah, so. That makes sense. But that guy, I mean, he really doesn't play much of a role in this, and that's fine. We didn't miss anything for not seeing much of his character. But
I love Tiny Lister being the president. I think it's hilarious.
I recognize that guy. What is he? What's he?
I know.
So
what have I seen?
So he's so I first saw him as a kid, and he was in this movie with Hulk Hogan called No Holds Barred, and he even appeared in WWE briefly to wrestle him. It was ridiculous. He was in The Dark Knight. He's the guy who throws the detonator out the window on the prisoner ship.
Guy, yes.
Yeah, he's in Friday. He's the villain in Friday.
I've seen him.
Yeah. But he's
he's the villain in Friday. That's what it is.
Yeah, he's this big menacing guy, but to my understanding, like in real life, he was a total sweetheart.
You say was? Is he passed?
I'm pretty sure he passed away.
Oh,
Tom Lister.
We're losing a lot of good ones.
A few years ago, back in I don't recall. I think he passed away.
Okay, I feel like I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah,
I want to know.
Huh. All right, good. So this guy, all right,
2020.
He's a respectable actor.
He passed in 2020.
Damn it, that sucks. How old was he?
Early 60s, I think.
he wasn't old.
Well, it's crazy. Last week we were talking about, obviously Die Hard. And it's just crazy to think of where Bruce Willis is right now.
Yeah, I was
It's
thinking of that.
terrible. It's like, you look at him here and
Sad.
it's like, he's the man. And it's crazy, the dementia. I think I read recently that he isn't verbal anymore.
Yeah.
It's hard to look at. I wish they wouldn't have like posted like public pictures of him. It just, brings you down. I mean, there's no reason for it. It should stay private.
I think that like something that does, which is like a reality check, is that all these people, they're all people, they're not better than anybody else. And no matter how much money they have, they can't prevent certain things like this. And that's what's happening to him. It's kind of like, this guy's a real person. He's not just the hero we see on screen, right? So yeah, real shame. I guess it's kind of, is it a good thing that we see that side? Is it not a good thing? I don't know.
I guess what's jarring about it is especially when you see somebody who you associate so much with being an action star, because action stars have that kind of larger than life quality, and he added to that a good amount of like charisma. I mean, Bruce Willis was always fun to watch in action movies. And I mean, and even in some non-action movies, like, when he's in Pulp Fiction and he grabs the katana to go take out the dudes down in the dungeon, you're like, oh yeah, it's about to go down. It's awesome.
He was sweet in that. It's funny. It's like, Gord King, we don't really, Gen Z, we haven't had any action stars, really. We really haven't. It's like crazy. We're watching Bruce Willis, and I couldn't really think of any Bruce Willis movies I watched growing up. The only Bruce Willis movies I was familiar with were, was it Red 1 and Red 2? Those were great.
I mean they're not bad. I mean, it's just those are kind of lower tier ones, sadly.
Yeah, those are.
Have you seen Die Hard?
Well, we did last week.
Oh, okay, last week. All right,
only just last week, really?
Just last week, man.
Wow.
See?
Watch. I would encourage you at the very least to watch 2 and 3. I've heard the 4th one is pretty good too, and don't watch the 5th one.
The 5th one is with his son, right?
Yeah, it's and Jai Courtney. It's pretty rough to my understanding. But 1 through 3, especially the 3rd one, is really good. 2nd one's a little cheesy, but it's not bad. 3rd one is
I've heard good things.
Pretty
about
strong. You get Jeremy Irons playing like the brother of Alan Rickman's character. It's great.
It's been a bit since I've seen that.
It's so much.
I actually have a little. I have the most offensive still from Die Hard 3 in my next video with the bad word that's in that.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I've seen that clip. Nice.
So my joke is about that subject.
Oh gosh, Gord King, you bad boy. Nice. But back to this. So like where we are at this point, 300 years later, Mila Jovovich, right? That's the actress's name.
Mila Jovovich.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah, her. Leeloo, which is like such a lame name, Leeloo. That just doesn't sound cool. I mean, she's supposed to be this pretty cool character.
It's a nickname. If you listen to her full name, it's really
it's just
weird
like compressed.
Yeah, she's got like a 10-word name.
Yeah.
But Leeloo, of course, this is like her cutesy, sure. She's reborn here in this point, and she's reborn by this like Earth government, whatever else. And immediately she does not like these guys, and she tries to escape. And of course, during her escape, she encounters Bruce Willis, who takes her in to keep her safe from all these whack-ass sci-fi police. And during this sequence, we learn, she doesn't speak English at all. She speaks this alien gibberish. And man, upon first reaction, man, it was really hard listening to her. It was
my gosh, that's like one of the best things.
Oh no,
I thought she did so
Hell
good.
No, you're tripping.
No, it was so good. She was so convincing
because it's so. I get what you mean because it's so weird, and she sounds very childish. But as far as the way it's implemented in the film, I think it's done quite well because it does come off like she's speaking an actual language, and I think she sells it well.
Yeah.
She's coming out of this. She's in a position where she has not been awake for a very long time, so her kind of having the behavior of a child, I think, is really good. Like Mila Jovovich is by no means a great actress, and yet I think she's incredibly well cast here. Not just because she's attractive and looks the part, but because for some reason, playing this childish, being that's just been brought into existence in this strange world, she kind of nails it. Like, I was a little put off by it, but the first time because it's very jarring. You're hearing this bizarre non-existent language and whatnot, and she's behaving in this weird way, and you're just like, gosh, we're gonna be with this character for the whole movie. And yet, as I started to consider the logic of the movie and whatnot, and I was like, wow, she's actually doing a great job, and this is actually a pretty, no pun intended, strong element to the film. I ended up really liking that about this ultimately.
Yeah, I agree. I think she was a great fit in here, and I liked her physicality, like the way she moved her body, as if she was trying to figure out how it worked.
Right. And I agree with that, Sin. And Jackson, you're going to be disappointed in this too, but I don't think she was like, I don't think she seemed childish to me. Like she seemed almost smarter than everyone else, because like all the gestures she was doing, you could almost figure out what she was trying to say, and that she knew more than
she was trying to communicate. She's trying to let them know.
Okay, hang on. Let me clarify what I mean, I guess is okay. So there's intelligence, like what which I would agree with you. She's probably a lot more intelligent than most of the people around her, if not everybody, because she has all of this information basically downloaded into her being. But she's still experiencing it from the perspective of somebody who's basically just been born. Mm-hmm. So there is it's kind of they do something very similar to this in Blade Runner 2049, or even the original Blade Runner. If you pay attention to the behavior of some of the replicants, like Roy Batty and stuff, most scenes they're acting more or less pretty grown up, but they've only been alive like 3 to 4 years each. By the way, there's one of the 4 replicants from Blade Runner is in this movie. But there's scenes where they act very childish. And when the first time you watch it, you're like, wow, that's really odd. But then you consider, oh, wait, their experience is still very young. They have all this information. They've experienced things. So they have certain experiences that are very adult, but at the same time, the way they deal with like emotional baggage tends to be very childish at times. So I think that's kind of what they're going for here.
Well, fair points. For me,
I'm not trying to convince you to like the movie.
No.
I'm basically just defending the merits.
No. It's fair.
Take that, Jackson.
And you know what? For me, like when it comes to what did you say? Take notes.
No, so take that.
Yeah. Of course, everybody's always at me. You know what? For me, watching it, I think, I want to like people in general. I want to like female characters. I really do. I always do. You know that? I really do.
There was something very broad about that statement.
And it's like, you know what?
I like people, but there's just something about people.
I try, man. I try. And with this character, I just, you know what? Irritants. Okay. She was an irritant to me right from the bat, and I just can't deal with irritating characters. Our modern media, we're peppered with irritating characters all the time, and they're forced down our throats, and we're supposed to like them, and I can't stand them. And I know you, Gord King, you can't stand them either. And
here's the thing. Like I said, the first time I watched this, if this were my first time, I might be coming in here kind of agreeing with you on that, because the first time I watched this, I was like, it kind of reminded me of being around somebody else's kid for the first time and being like, ew, get away from me. You're weird. Why are you doing these weird things? Why are you acting this way? But seeing it again helped considerably, because I'm like, oh, okay, now that I understand it a little bit better, it's like, yeah, this worked for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it fit in with the quirky nature of the entire world.
Yeah.
I felt like it was fitting, and she did a really good job. I think this is one of her better roles, to be honest.
I would agree with that, yeah, because I certainly would put this over any of the Resident Evil movies, which are quite good. Resident Evil movies are fun, but they're really stupid.
Agree.
Here, real quick, let me get to this super chat from our friend Proctophile. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you, Proctophile, for a five banger, as Leon says. Tommy Lister wasn't just the president; he's the galactic president. Fifth Element is awesome. Haha.
I would vote for him to be the actual galactic president
of our world.
Yes.
Nice. Here, let's see. Oh, also, Ty, I don't know what happened. He's having some weird technical difficulties.
His microphone and his computer are giving him problems.
I don't know what's going on with him. So sorry, everybody. He's gone. Yeah, he's passed into the force. Let's say hi to everybody real quick. Blue Collar Losers here. Good to see you, buddy. Hey, Evil Pumpkin. Multipass. Nice. Multipass. Oh gosh. No. See, I just can't do the adult juvenile act. I just can't do it. But I mean, it makes sense.
But you have to consider the way, like, her situation, it kind of reminded me, even though she was a little bit more put together when she came into being, but in some ways, the way she acts reminds me a little bit of that Jean-Claude Van Damme movie called Replicant, where he is a clone. They create him as a clone of a serial killer so that they can try to track down the serial killer because they know they're going to have this sort of psychic connection. And I thought he did really well at being someone who was newly born and having no idea what the heck to do, how to act, how to move his body. And it reminded me a bit of that.
Okay. Huh. And, I guess her character is also interesting because she's supposed to be like this, the perfect being, right? Like her body's perfect. She has a perfect, sense of morality, right? A clean heart. So I guess, the innocence, it's kind of hard.
And not to take this in any bad direction, but
no, I know where this is going.
Well, just saying, this one really pushed those PG-13 boundaries with her. I mean,
with the therapeutic bandage or whatever the hell they call that.
Well, there's full-blown nudity in this movie in more than one scene. Now, generally in a PG-13 movie, at least back in the 90s, they're a little bit more stingy on that today. You could maybe get away with one shot. Like Titanic got away with a brief shot. I mean, Titanic actually got away with R-rated nudity full blown because you can see a little bit more than just Kate Winslet's in that movie. It's brief, but you can see more than that. But usually you can only get away with one. They did two and pushed doing a third. There's actually a third scene because like where her
where
shirt's
was there full blown nudity?
So when she's laying on the stretcher before they put the bands on her, you can see her chest, nipple and all.
Oh, okay.
And then there's the scene where he brings her the clothing and starts getting dressed, and she's behind him. It's slightly blurred, but it's not quite so obscure. It's like you can see, you can see. And then there is the other scene where he hides her in his like little elevator shower thing, and she comes out and her
she's
white
all wet.
T-shirt is soaking wet, and I'm like, boy, Luc Besson, he was really pushing the boundaries of PG.
Well, I think they like hooked up around this time, so maybe he liked to show off her assets.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, the creator and her? Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
this is like...
You never had an issue with showing
This is
off
one of those movies that's clearly made by a dude. It's like,
for sure.
Luc Besson's got a bit of a history that's a little sketchy in that department, so it's not surprising.
I was looking at his track record, and I saw, what did he make? Was it Valorant? Is that what the movie's called?
He made Valerium, which sounds like an STD, but he also made The Professional, which is that's an excellent movie.
That's right. He did The Professional. Gary Oldman was in that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Another fantastic performance by Gary Oldman.
Best performance.
So good. I've never seen him in anything bad. Yeah, agree.
Don't get me started by Gary Oldman of this, please. We'll get to that.
Dude!
Don't get me started.
Is there anything you like about this movie?
Don't tempt me.
His haircut is like, what the heck?
But he looks like a penis with hair.
His southern drawl is fantastic.
It was so funny. He melts into a role. He's such a great actor.
So out of place. We'll get to him. We're gonna get to. We're gonna get to him. We got lots of questions about Gary Oldman. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We'll get to him. Let me say hello to the chat real quick before we keep moving on. World War Joe. Sorry, man, to keep you waiting. Good to see you, buddy. One of the only movies I remember when the hero and villain don't even share a scene together. Korben and Zor get off and on the elevator and never meet. Yeah, that's weird.
I didn't even realize that.
There's this, like No Country for Old Men, obviously. Well, they sort of do and sort of don't. They never come face to face, but they do have a shootout in No Country for Old Men. But there's a few movies where this exists, this trope, but it's rare. It's very rare.
Mm-hmm.
It worked well enough. I mean, they didn't need to interact.
They didn't. And by the way, that's one thing I actually do appreciate about this movie is that there is kind of this chaos to what's going on, that there's various factions kind of simultaneously working towards separate goals. It's just centered around this one person and everything, but the police are trying to bring her in because, obviously they're trying to seize her for the galactic president and that whole entity. You've got Dallas doing his thing. You've got the priests and they've got their goals. You've got the aliens. Everyone's kind of got these various motives. And granted, it creates some confusion, but like I said, watching it this time, I was like, I got a better grasp on it. I was like, they actually balance this fairly well. Now, I wouldn't say they balance it in a way that's great, but I would say it's at least good in that sense.
Well, here, I like, real quick, let's say hi, Rebel Rose. Good seeing you. Thanks for joining us. Always a pleasure. I like this, Bob Rowe, I think you're new to the chat. Bob Rowe, U6G, my gosh, is he spitting the truth right now.
Yeah.
Speaking of pushing the PG-13 rating, what about the innuendo scene on the plane between Ruby Road and the flight attendant? Yikes. Come on.
Agree.
It's like, this is one of my least, and it's not even because I'm not interested in watching, inappropriate scenes like this. It's because, I don't know, it was just totally out of place. And it was sort of a edited mishmash of stuff that just didn't need to be there. I think there's just so much in this movie.
And it lasted
like
2 minutes total.
That. I didn't need to know that. Why is this here?
Agree.
Why are you wasting my 5 minutes?
I will agree with you on this scene because, okay, it's very much in service to a joke and it's an editing. Like, it's the kind of joke that you could implement in a YouTube video and be very funny, because that is the way it's edited, to where the blast off and the explosion coincides with. But and it's I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was kind of funny, but at the same time, it's like, okay, but if I'm judging the movie's storytelling, this is completely unnecessary and probably just a wee bit too goofy. I would agree that this one steps over the comedy line. Just like, this is maybe one of the few moments where I think they kind of are winking at the audience, and I'm like, yeah, it's taking it a little too far.
Yeah, I don't like those. I'm actually, I don't know, maybe a prude. I don't really like any sort of sex scene stuff.
No, neither
at
me.
all.
I'm not a big fan of sex scenes in movies.
Yeah,
too,
I can't stand it. It's embarrassing, and I feel like it's completely unnecessary. So,
amen, sister.
That's my least.
Generally speaking, I would
like
agree. I can't think of many scenes like that I think benefit a story.
I don't think there's any.
What about the scene in Dune 2 when Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya get it on?
If you didn't remind me of it, I would have forgotten it was you.
Don't care. I remember because stuck out. Like the act sometimes can be important because it's super crucial to the storyline. Like Terminator, one of my favorite movies of all time. That's important to know what happens with those two characters. But we honestly do not need to see it. No. We do not need to see this simulated at all. It just feels gratuitous in almost all situations.
I was watching.
Jimmy gave Forrest AIDS and Forrest.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, good call out. I was watching this clip of like two actors. They were like, it was like supposed to be like behind the scenes, and it's two actors and they're in a bed and you don't see anything. And it's like there's one of the coordinators and he's just standing over them and he's like, okay, now you do this and you do this. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's so
feel like
weird.
Sometimes the people working on that get a little bit of thrill out of being involved, and it just opens up the door for super embarrassing moments, because there was a time where I think it was Ewan McGregor, and he was doing a scene with I think Alice Krieg, and something happened, and part of him got loose and slipped, and there was no insertion or anything, but kind of rubbed up against her leg, and his body reacted.
Oh gosh.
And he was so embarrassed, and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, and she was okay about it, but that's just that's so
it's
unnecessary,
weird.
and it's just this weird, very icky sort of aspect to that.
We know why it's the reality is 99.999 times out of 100, we know exactly why it's there. It's there for people to goon over. That's the reason. There are scenes where the implication of sex between characters is important, like you said in Terminator. Yes, them being together, that's important to the story. Even in Forrest Gump, them ended up together is important to the story. She has a kid, his kid, so it can be important to a story, but how much of it
we don't need to see it simulated.
You start to cross the line where it's we know why you're
fade
going.
to black.
Yeah, I like
the idea.
What is it? Is it Wyatt Earp? See, I bet Gord King. I bet you don't like Wyatt Earp. I loved Wyatt Earp, and I think there's a scene where something.
The Costner movie?
Yes.
I haven't
It's
seen
a
it.
good movie.
Okay, all right. I
a
think
good
there's a
movie.
scene. It's either Wyatt Earp or some other Kevin Costner movie where he's like doing it with his wife, and you don't see anything. But you know what? They start kissing, and then the camera pans to the window, and the wind is blowing on the drapes. Yeah, then you just move on to the next scene. It's like that's enough. That's my
That
flaw
actually,
with this movie. It's
that,
just
that
too
reminds me of the Truman
much.
Show, where the cops are complaining about them doing that for the show. It's
Oh,
like, you never see
yes.
anything. They pull away, play music, and the wind blows in. You don't see anything.
Or
exactly.
like Gone with the Wind, Rhett Butler carries her up the stairs. She's struggling and fighting, but then the next scene is she wakes up super happy in bed. So we didn't need to see them acting it out. Of course, it would have never been allowed back then. But that's a tasteful way to do it because, I mean, it's a fact of life. It happens. It's important for some stories. But yeah, please spare us. I don't even really like to see heavy kissing in a movie. A peck on the lips, fine, whatever. Please don't show me tongue.
This
don't
movie,
show
I mean,
them
it's
eating
pretty-
each other's face.
It's pretty
thanks.
promiscuous. I mean, it really is most of the time. I mean, it is really crazy. It got away with the PG-13. It's crazy. I don't know. I mean, the standards have to be different at this point.
It's because they tone down the violence, and there's some language, but nothing particularly strong, and it kind of blends into the background. But yeah, it's the amount of sexuality in this movie. I'm like, I'm kind of surprised you all got away with this. I know it's somewhat obscured, kind of each time, but usually you don't get away with that.
Yeah, come on, guys, take it easy. One thing I have a question though about her character, because when she's like born into this world, we're talking about. You guys had some interesting insights into that whole sequence, and I was kind of wondering, right from the get go, she's pretty hostile against the authorities that brought her back to life, and I'm kind of wondering, do you guys know why that was the case? Do you think there was some real reason for that? Because, she was trying to escape them, and they were the ones that just brought her back to life. I mean, thank you for, saving my life again. Appreciate it.
To my understanding, it's because, okay, number one, she has a clear goal in mind of who she's supposed to be. She's supposed to see the priest.
Yes.
And I'm guessing that the logic of the scene, and I'd have to watch it again and hear all the dialogue to be absolutely sure. That's kind of why it's like, once you said you didn't care for the movie, I was like, dang, I wish I had taken notes, because then I could have a more informed discussion to see, okay, where is he right, where is he wrong? But the impression I got was that because she has this goal in mind and whatnot, she's in a glass case and looks in prison, and he starts kind of taunting her. That tends to, I think, to her eyes, that appeared to be, it's like, okay, this is a captor and I need to get away.
Exactly.
So
yes.
that's my guess as to what the logic of the moment is supposed to be.
That seems pretty clear to me. Yeah, they're just going to hold her there. She has no idea if she's going to let go or win, and she has to do this thing. She's got a mission. So makes that completely tracked for me.
I was wondering if part of it had to do with, like, I mean, those guys were looking at her. Those guys were looking at her because, I mean, she was obviously not wearing anything too. And I thought maybe she was feeling like, ew, I need to get away from these.
I mean, you gotta admit, even though
the
like I like the whole discussion we just had about, like, showing that kind of stuff in movies, I do think the line the guy had about wanting to take some pictures for the archives is pretty funny. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was funny, but
I thought that was pretty funny.
I don't think that she had that sort of feeling at all about, oh, these icky guys and I need to get away because I feel at threat. Number one, I think she can completely take care of herself, because there were multiple scenes where she undressed completely in front of the guys and didn't ask, like, turn around, but they just turned around out of respect. So I don't think it had anything to do with that for her.
Yeah,
that's fair. Real quick, I would have just two things. Megan the Texans calling us prudes, people. We're prudes.
Sorry.
Yeah, we are prudes. You're right.
Prude.
Thanks for calling me that. I appreciate it.
I'm not sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sorry either. You know what? I'm not sorry, people. I'm not sorry.
Same.
And I'm not sorry about what Vex is saying. Bob, me, saying this is the worst movie the channel has ever... Wait, the worst movie the channel has ever reviewed is genuine heresy. Something's got to be exercised out of y'all to hate this movie. Like I said earlier in the stream, this is the worst of all the great 36 movies that we've watched this year, okay? I'm not talking about Superman, which is like my least favorite movie of all time at this point, or any of the other garbage modern movies. It's this. It's the good movies.
We're gonna start calling him Movie Bob.
No, no, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me, Cord King. I'm not that bad.
Have you covered
no.
Terminator and Terminator 2 on this particular series?
Terminator 2, T2, yes. We talked about that one. We haven't talked about the first one. We got to do that
Oh,
one.
dude, if you do.
Oh, you want to talk
Terminator
about that?
2.
Okay, good.
So Terminator 2 is my favorite movie of all time. Followed very, very closely by The Terminator, which was my favorite movie until Terminator 2 came out. So, like, I am super passionate about both of those movies.
My dad took me to see Terminator 2 as a kid. What a great dad.
Oh,
Love,
nice.
I was
that
8.
movie. So good.
Good. We could figure out your age now. Perfect. Thanks.
I'll tell you, 42.
Wow, you disclosed it. Now everybody do your searching. I'm just kidding.
You're a baby.
Don't do that. Yeah, I wasn't anywhere in the world when that happened. 10 years later, people, I was born 2002. There you go.
Oh,
Gosh,
after
you were born
9/11,
after
my
I
God.
graduated.
Oof.
Yes.
Wow.
See? 2 big moments, my birth and you graduated from high school. That's awesome.
Yeah, you
Really
missed
special.
9/11. All those jokes.
I know. I was just like,
9/11.
wow.
Never mind. I was gonna say just like the plane, but
Oh gosh, bruh, you're crazy. So I'm kind of wondering. So like, geez, we've just barely scratched the surface of this movie.
Dude, you're younger
know.
than my son
Oh,
and my daughter.
What is this? What is this panel? What
You're
did you
very
guys...
mature for your age, though. I'm
Nice.
not knocking that at
That's
all.
good. I appreciate
you're
that.
super mature.
Yeah, I try to be. It doesn't work all the time, obviously. Hence why I'm here, I guess. But I thought it was like, we're talking about Gary Oldman's character. I thought he played an interesting role in here. I was kind of confused what his place was here because, we have the great evil emerges, right? It really doesn't seem like it has any sort of like life or soul to it. I mean, it's this giant fiery planet, right? And it
communicates with him, so it has life.
right. So that's the connection, right? I was kind of wondering what Gary Oldman's
he's so to my understanding,
was.
So clearly now it is a big question mark as to how on earth did he come into contact with this thing. I think the safest assumption is because this is a being that at least borders on supernatural. So, however it communicates is fairly odd and obscure. But he's an arms dealer. So his task was to get the elemental stones, and he hired the alien species to track them down. So that's how they kind of get involved in this.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was interesting because I was wondering, what he got out of this situation, right? Like, I don't know why he would want to barter with this evil, fiery planet. It didn't obviously.
Well, his philosophy, he explains that his philosophy is that basically that evil and chaos affords opportunity, and that's basically how he makes his living. It's like the more that this thing spreads and makes things bad, the more I can benefit from it. Now, granted, whether or not that's actually true, whether or not this thing, spares him, that's a matter of guesswork
that's what
on
he
our part.
I mean, he's gambling on that.
Yeah, that's his bet.
Okay, interesting. I guess he has, I also wonder if there is like direct like manipulation, right? I mean, we see that, he's communicating with the evil cloud thing, telepathically.
We get something kind of similar. Like, I don't know if you've ever played the Mass Effect games. Have you ever played those? I highly recommend them. They're excellent. It's my favorite game trilogy of all time. But excuse me, there's in the first one, the primary villain of that, there's the primary villain that you most interact with, but then there's the overarching villain that you meet later in the game. And basically the idea is these things are going to exterminate all life throughout the galaxy and basically restart evolution pretty much. And the being that's kind of helping this along the way is being manipulated by them to make these. It's basically been indoctrinated to think that he'll be spared, and if they work with these things that they'll be spared and everything. He thinks he's doing the right thing. So it's sort of similar to that, but whether or not he's genuinely being manipulated like mentally to where he's not in control of his actions, I guess you could speculate on that, but from what the movie seems to imply, he's doing this mostly of his own accord. I mean, there's obviously a fear factor here because if he doesn't, I think it'd get into your head and make your brain bleed or whatever. But to my understanding, he's operating at the very least of his will, if under somewhat duress.
Okay. Huh. All right. Well, I guess that makes sense then. I think it's interesting how there's like a couple different motives for that, right? It's not just like one thing. I can respect that. I kind of wonder, we're talking about how absurdist this movie is, right? And for me, I get it. Like, it's supposed to be silly how everybody looks, but he is the ugliest thing in this whole movie. And somehow he's uglier than that disgusting blue opera singer. And that's like a whole new level of ugly. But I'm wondering, like, he is obviously the main antagonist in this movie. And I think there's at least one moment where we're supposed to be convinced that he is a intimidating villain, when he's up against Ian Holmes' character, the priest, because obviously he's pretty frightened by him. And there's nothing about his character that I found intimidating. And I think it's like, I don't know why they would choose to make him, maybe it's a choice to make him kind of silly looking and have this like kind of outlandish country accent to kind of throw you off. Because I think at the end of the day, I don't know what to make of him, because he's sort of
it's
this...
funny. You're sitting on the right answer. You just don't. I think generally how movies are made, your expectation is kind of taking over what's actually in front of you. So I get that a lot of the times a villain is what you're describing, is this intimidating force that's meant to be like this massive obstacle, but in reality, that's not what he is. He is an obstacle, and he is like kind of helping this stuff along, but he's not all that much different. He's basically he's a criminal, and he's a bad guy, and he is good at what he does, but he's a human being, and he has some complexity to him. He has successes, he has failures. He's definitely a ruthless character and whatnot, but he's still very human and still very much full of flaws. And I think part of the reason why you can interpret him as a person who at some points messes up and at some points causes like genuine damage is the fact that him and Dallas don't have a face-off. Because you would think if he was that type of villain, that type of bad guy who's messing everybody up and he's this big intimidating figure, then you would expect, okay, Dallas has to be the one to take him out, because we've seen Dallas's prowess on display and he's this great fighter. When in reality, it's like, if these two fought, in all likelihood, if this guy's not armed, if Jean-Baptiste isn't armed, he's screwed, because Dallas is beating the crap out of him. He's a considerably better fighter from everything we see on screen. It's really it's Jean-Baptiste's intentions and his mind that make him dangerous, but he's not above screwing up.
I mean, Dallas had been military, right? So he had that skill set, and there's something that oddly works about them not coming face to face, because you do expect that. That's a typical pattern for, movies where there's this type of conflict. But I kind of liked the subversion of expectation, that it didn't happen, because it was something a little different.
And given the events of the film, it really would not have, given what happens in the movie, them coming face to face, there's really not any build up to that whatsoever. So I'm glad that there was that restraint there, because there's no animosity between these two characters. They're really just people who, he doesn't know much about Leeloo. I don't even think he brings Leeloo up, at least to my understanding. His main goal is, I need to get these stones. They just happen to be going after the same thing. He doesn't know about them. So there's not the thoughts where they know that, oh, he's the bad guy, or he knows they're the ones that are standing in my way of, helping the great evil or whatever. It's just, they have goals that are kind of about to intertwine with each other, but they never do. And as far as them meeting face to face, and I'm glad for that, because there wouldn't be anything especially satisfying character wise about them meeting and having some kind of shootout, because they don't know about each other. They're just people who have intersecting motives.
Do you think I think it's for me, visuals, I hate to say it, I think it's there's times when it can be kind of excused, you know what I mean, where it's I don't really care. I don't need really expensive movies. I love indie movies, I don't need anything too crazy. I like low budget movies even. But I think it's for me, I don't think I've ever been so taken out of a movie like this one when it came to costume design, though. And he is the best example of that, where I just can't take anything seriously at all looking at these people. I mean, look at this image we are staring at right now.
I mean, I would agree. His design is it's the most out there, and like I still don't even know what's the point of the plastic. I mean, it would be kind of fun if you could if they did say something like maybe it's actually there because the great evil can penetrate your mind, and maybe that's meant to guard against it or something. You could do some things with it, but I don't mind the haircut so much because I think it fits the rest of his look. It's that big piece of plastic on his head that I think's a little odd. But
yeah, I don't understand what that is. Is that the communication sort of whatever helmet between him?
Yeah, I mean, and if it were something like that, I was like, oh, okay, that actually would be kind of cool. Like maybe he is in constant communication with this thing, and I was like, that'd be kind of neat. But we're not really told anything, so it looks just like a weird thing he happens to wear for some reason.
Well, then you go, I mean, look at his henchmen in the back. They're wearing their little blue bald cap, top hats. I mean, I don't know. It's like, it's not just these guys either. We're about to talk about Chris Tucker's character pretty soon. And he's a great example where it's like, you look at him and you literally can't even look at him. It's so like awful.
I'm gonna be honest though. So I thought that the first time, but you know what? He's very much in line with this world, and you could do a realistic version of this, and you could design him exactly the same. If you look at the way fashion trends go and the way entertainment's going, sadly, I think he would fit that almost too well. Especially like even the fact that he behaves, almost like in a hyper homosexual fashion, and yet is basically like
he's
one
not
of the straight. He's not remotely homosexual, but
it's
he
such a
acts as
contrast. It's so funny.
Anyone. He's the most feminine, ladies man you will ever see, and I'm like, futuristically, I could see why somebody would think this is what we're heading towards as an entertainer.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean,
I actually think that's a good Vex said Ruby Red is a premonition. I show speed.
Oh, yeah, he'll get to that point. Just wait for it.
I found out something about the plastic dome, and unfortunately, this is something that has to be explained because it's not self-evident in the movie, which is kind of cool because I do like that they don't hold your hand too much. But apparently, what it serves as is, well, it's a fashion statement, but it's also worn to conceal Zorg's extensive reconstruction surgery. So apparently maybe that's why like his head is like, the shaved on the one side. It's not really just for him to look weird, but it has something to do with Zorg messing with him.
Interesting.
Wow. So we got like a nose job kind of thing, maybe like some implants.
I mean, here's the thing. I think appealing to the outside source doesn't undermine if you all want to critique that thing's existence. I wouldn't stop you all from doing that because you kind of have to go outside of it, and you have to operate outside the bounds of the film to find an answer. But I mean, but at the same time, somebody with the opposing view who likes it could say, okay, but I'm just going to the outside source to see why it's there, but I like it anyway. So it's an aesthetic choice. It's a feeling thing. I tend to agree. It's really odd looking. And
it's odd looking.
At first, it's like, can I take this guy seriously? But Gary Oldman, to me, he's such a good actor that I kind of just forget it's there after a while.
Yeah, it fits the quirkiness of his character, though.
Well, it's funny that we even talk about this so much. We've been, spent the last like 7 minutes talking about this weird plastic,
I mean, it stands
bulb
out.
on his head. It's funny though, and you know what? All this discussion, it makes sense. There is practicality after talking about it.
Maybe
no
it'll help
ordinary
you
person's
appreciate the
do.
movie.
Gosh.
Like give it a little time, maybe rewatch it, think about it, chew on it.
Rewatch it. I don't want to rewatch it.
By the end of the stream, you'll love the movie.
It's gonna happen.
You guys are helping. Like it's mending a wound, but it's not there. It's not even close. But it's doing something.
I would say let it ruminate a little bit. Maybe revisit it a few years from now.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I have kids,
get a
5
little
more
wiser.
years. Might appreciate it a little more.
All right. Well, so let's move on to the next section of the story because we're only maybe halfway done now, but yeah, lots more to talk about, of course. We're getting to an interesting part with Chris Tucker's character because once he enters the scene, it gets really wild. Then I remember Ty was telling me, well, I think it was both you and Luke. You're both telling me like, I was like, oh, this is really rough to watch. And you're like, you're just getting started. And then here we are to this next chapter.
Yep.
So of course, everybody is looking for those stones, right? The stones, very important. That's the key to defending Earth or
His
whatever.
hair!
That is
I
I
see
show
his
speed.
hair!
Yeah. So here we are. Of course, they are.
Started Twitch. What are you talking about?
Bruce Willis, he's sent on this mission to retrieve the stones from Diva Plavalaguna, which is the ugly blue opera singer who's on the cover of the Blu-ray. Really sticks out. That's an image where I'll show a picture of her soon. That's an image that stuck with me about Fifth Element forever. I've always remembered seeing that thing, and I'm glad I finally got to watch the infamous scene. We'll talk about that soon. We're not there yet, but Bruce Willis, he's on this like secret mission to go onto this luxury space cruise ship alongside Leeloo to get these stones. And he's been told that Diva, the blue lady, has them to some extent. So he's got to find a way to communicate with her. And upon entering the ship, we are quickly introduced to Chris Tucker's character. Of course, he's going to be obnoxious as always. And his entrance is really, it's like, Gord King, how on earth can you defend this? His entrance is this really cringe sing-along moment where he just does this little walk around the halls. He's prancing, gallivanting, singing out loud, paired by the really awful background music. And he's having these one-on-one, face-to-face dances with girls. And he's seducing them.
Yeah, how you're reacting, I think, is precisely how you're supposed to react to him. So that's my defense for him, is you're reacting to him correctly for the most part, is you're supposed to see him as like, what's wrong with this guy? What's like, and it's, I hate to say it because it's sad to consider this future, but this isn't that far-fetched. I mean, I don't think we even need to go 300 years into the future. I think I'll be seeing stuff like this, in the next 20 years, as will you all. It's like, maybe the hair will be a little different, but it'll be, I mean, look at this outfit and tell me you haven't seen Lady Gaga wear something even more ridiculous.
Oh, well, she absolutely has. She wore a meat suit.
Yeah, she wore a meat suit.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't all that far-fetched, but I do think you're supposed to take his presence as incredibly obnoxious. He's kind of the Jar Jar Binks of this movie in a way.
That's what I was thinking the whole time.
He's kind of the Jar Jar Binks, but now what this movie does correctly as opposed to The Phantom Menace is he's not a plot device. He's there because, they won this contest, and that's how they end up, getting Korben and them onto this planet in the first place. So he's kind of he's there, and he just kind of ends up entangled with them. So he's mostly just there for comedic relief. Now, for the most part, in the early parts of his presence, you're like, holy crap, this dude is annoying. He's hard to look at because he's just hideous, and it's so. I mean, but I think you're supposed to dislike him, but I ain't gonna lie. When all the chaos starts ensuing, I crack up at his reactions because it is so outside of his realm of existence. And seeing him freak out over it, I think is freaking hilarious. It is. I mean, it's a bit over the top because it's Chris Tucker, but the second time, especially watching this, I was laughing a lot.
Agree.
Whenever he reacted to stuff.
He actually ended up being one of my favorite side characters. When I first saw it, I felt the same way. I was like, dude, this guy is so weird and stupid. Then I think it was the second time I watched it, I realized how funny he actually was. And same time with the rewatch this time.
I don't what? Funny. It's like, this is how it is with I don't think it's that common, but it's the way it is with like TV shows where it's like, the first episode is really never that good or that captivating, and you have to stick around for 2, 3, and then episode 4, then you're finally hooked, right? It's like, I don't want to have to watch it again. If I didn't like it the first time, I don't want to waste 2.5 more hours watching it again, right? And respect, no hate.
As a movie watcher, this is, I think you should get rid of that attitude towards movies in general, because I mean, it'd be one thing if you were expected to watch something 3, 4, 5 times in order to get it. I think everybody who watches movies, I mean, granted, there are some movies that are so overtly awful or even overtly great that you know exactly what they are the first time. There are some movies that are so great you don't need to watch them a second time to know they're great. There's some movies that are so awful that you don't, like, if you watch The Room, watching it once, you're like, this is horrible, it's amateurish, this is like a bad drawing that is on somebody's refrigerator, but I don't even have the heart to tell them that it's a good drawing, it's crap. I think though, with a lot of movies, it is beneficial to have the attitude of giving it a second chance, because I think you'd be surprised how many movies going at it a second time you'd change your mind on, for better or worse. There's plenty going the other way too.
Yep.
But I've had so many movies that have become favorites that the first time I watched them, didn't really care for them. One of my top 5 favorite movies of all time is Blade Runner. First time I watched it, didn't like it. Didn't even like it. First time I watched it, I was like, I don't see what the big deal is. Then I watched it again. I was like, what was wrong with me? This is amazing. And it's become one of my favorite films of all time. I really think multiple watches are a massive benefit, especially if we're talking about a movie where there is at least some uncertainty to its quality.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't a big fan of Jaws the first time. Now I love it, and I've seen it,
There you go.
I've seen it
See?
3 times. But
It's
you know what? It's
happened.
but the first one, I thought that's one of those big movies. It's Jaws. It was relevant again. Fifth Element is not really relevant anymore. I really don't like it. I don't like it at all. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't like this at all. I can't stand it, and I don't want to watch it again. I rewatch stuff all the time, bro. I do.
Well, this is why I would say be at the very least, like, okay, because you are a YouTuber, this is where this becomes kind of ingrained as part of the position. If you get invited to a panel to talk the Fifth Element, say a few years from now,
yes, of course,
it's gonna open you up to where you're gonna almost have to do it. So
yes,
it's like,
of course.
That's why it's especially good to have that attitude now. If you're going to do YouTube, it's like, it's because like I said, first time I watched this, I didn't see what the big deal was, and I thought it was kind of obnoxious. I was like, I didn't outright dislike it, but I was like, this is really odd, and I wasn't laughing during the movie at all. So I was like, I'm not sure if I even like this. I think this is really strange, and I'm surprised so many people do like it. Watching it again, I'm like, actually, no, this is actually pretty good. And now I see a little bit more. I mean, granted, I'm still a little confused as to why this movie didn't have more people hating it when it first came out, because I would assume that most people would react negatively, or at least a little bit jarred by something this strange. But this was a cult classic kind of immediately, because I remember when this came out, this movie had a ton of fans when I was growing up. And there's still a very strong contingent of people who are very discerning, very hard on movies and writing and stuff, who are like, yeah, Fifth Element's a good movie. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess I'll give it another chance. And I'm glad I did.
So you had a poll. If you didn't
invite me, I probably would not have watched this again for a very long time.
Okay,
this is only your second time? Is that right?
It's only your second?
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you changed your mind this time.
You did gain a great...
Yeah, I went from thinking of this movie as something like a 5 out of 10 to I'm closer to a 7.5 or an 8.
Wow.
Okay, well, I feel like you left the first viewing a little bit higher than Brawler. So I've got this nefarious plan. I'm going to see if I can contact Will, the drinker, and see if he'll do like a stream in a couple years and invite you, and then you'll have to rewatch it because you won't be able to say no to the drinker.
You bastards! Bastards! Well, here, you have Vex in the chat. What did she say? I'm going to invite Bob to a Fifth Element panel in 8 weeks, so he'll have to watch it. I will, and I will happily do it. Thank you for the invite. That's what of course, if there is a reason, then I'll do it. You know what I mean? But if there's no reason, then goodbye, Fifth Element. This is arrivederci. I'm done. I'm sorry. And Chris Tucker, I love you. I love you as a person. I like hearing your story as to where you are now. And I'm excited for you for Rush Hour 4. I am excited for you. But this was my least favorite role of yours that I've seen. And you didn't make me laugh a single time. I'm sorry. I love you, Chris Tucker. It didn't work this time, buddy. God love you.
Hashtag racism. How dare you?
Yeah, even though I loved them in all 3 Rush Hours. They were great. And Friday.
If I create my own movie review channel, will you stream with me next week about the Fifth Element?
Oh my god!
I think y'all need to give a little bit more breathing room.
Yeah.
Because sometimes having that space, and then when you approach it,
right,
a few years later, your idea and mentality about things might have altered a little bit. So if you do it too quickly, he's going to be very resistant. I would say wait a little.
All right, 2 weeks.
Start with the first 4 elements. Start with the first 4 elements, then go to the 5th.
Yeah,
There you go. That'd be cool if they made
Slow and then-
prequels, I guess. I don't know. Let
By
me
the
say
way,
hi to-
even if you watch this multiple times and don't like it, don't feel bad. I've seen Citizen Kane 5 times and I still don't like it.
That's one on the list. I want to see that one. Maybe I'll invite
You
you.
might
to one
love
of
it.
those
It's I mean,
eventually.
it's one of those movies that I watch and I'm like, this is a great film, and I don't even like it. Because I don't
Yeah, you could.
I do not enjoy watching it, and yet I'm like, okay, I recognize it's well written. I recognize it's well shot. It checks all the boxes, except I don't enjoy it.
It's like
Why
that with
do
me and
you keep
Christopher Nolan
watching it?
movies. I don't like Nolan.
Well, I've
I really
watched
don't,
it
but
at
he's
various
respectable.
periods in my life to see if maybe age and perspective would change
Well,
my
I
view
think
on it.
by 5 times, maybe it hasn't.
Mm.
Well, I will watch it one more time, if for no other reason, because I think it'd be really fun to do a video about a film that I know is great, but I don't like, because
Mm.
I don't know if I've ever watched a review like that, and so that is one of my goals, is to do several movies like that, where I'm like, whether I do like something but know it's bad, or don't like something but know it's good. It's like I'm interested in stuff like that.
Mm.
Yeah, I've seen it once and didn't care for it. And that was decades ago, and I've never felt the desire to return to it.
Here, real quick, let me say hi to a few people in the chat. Thank you all for joining again. We appreciate you all. If you like what we're saying, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. Subscribe to everybody here too. Papa
it's
Pumpkin
free.
and Sin. We'd greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference. Especially Papa Pumpkin, because he's just really growing over there like a big old pumpkin. It's just bigger and bigger. It's good to
The
see.
world's largest pumpkin.
The
Take
world's
over everything.
largest.
I'll be like the great evil, but orange and Halloween.
Nice. All right, let's say hi to just a few people real quick. Road Un Life Productions. Good seeing you, man. I know you left a comment recently on something, so I'm glad you could catch me live. Appreciate it, bro. And then Tranya 327. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you for tagging along and talking to us in the chat. Good hearing from you. Let's talk about next. Of course, one of the most famous scenes. Which look at her, look at this thing, guys. Come on,
Yeah,
Star Wars wannabe.
Yeah.
Hello, this is of course.
This is my least favorite character design. It's so gross looking, and when you see the side of her head, you can tell it's just this fake plasticky thing. That I don't think they did a really good job at all on the design for this. But something interesting about this character, at the time, I didn't know who she was, but like later, I saw a movie that she was apparently in, and found out that this was her, and I was like, oh wow, my gosh, that's her. But have any of you guys seen Hard Tension?
No.
High tension or hard?
High Tension. Yeah, High Tension.
Yes, I have seen that.
She's the chick in there, the brunette.
Really?
Yeah, seriously, really, that's her.
Now you're talking about the victim or the killer?
The victim.
Wow.
That's her. I never forgot that. I was like, wow,
Holy
that's so
cow.
cool. And then she did a movie that I screened
Wow,
last year.
She would have been young.
She
This
was
is-
very
this would have been
she was very young
like
here.
20.
She was super she was super young here. She's aged pretty well. I saw her in a movie last year where she directed Johnny Depp in a movie where he played King Louis I can't remember, and she played his mistress in the movie.
Libertine?
No, it came out last year. It was like one of
last
his,
year. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I cannot remember that. I did a review for it. It's on my channel, but she directed it. She starred in it. It was an interesting film. But yeah, that was her. So I always remember her as this because it really stands out. Don't like this design. Yeah, that one. That one. Yep.
Yeah.
I've never seen this lady before. I don't know how you could possibly recognize her. I mean, based on
she
this,
looks
right?
I mean, I know how this is going to sound. I don't care though. I thought it was a black woman for one thing. Probably because she's but here's the thing. Okay, so the design, I kind of get why it's like, the design's a little bit off-putting, because I've seen the better version of this in Mass Effect, by the way, because there's a species of blue aliens that are all female,
Twi'leks,
all made to look attractive.
I guess Twi'leks are both guys.
The Twi'leks, the Twi'leks are, it's pretty similar, but at the same time, what I still like the character and the function of the character, because I did more or less buy into, what they're presenting her as. And I mean, you know, being somebody who loves classical music, you know, her being like an operatic singer who kind of mixes, you know, what we would consider modern music with it. I thought that was all pretty cool.
Oh,
You know, the
hated
design
it.
is maybe a bit much as far as the design goes, but all the other stuff with her I was more or less fine with. I guess like if I had a quibble with it was that maybe they didn't do enough to, you know, incorporate her into the film, maybe build her actual character up a little bit more,
Yeah,
like
she
let
just kinda
let them
shows
have
up.
conversation with her or something like that. I think that would have helped, because she's kind of just thrown in, you know, she's talked about, then she shows up and you're like, oh, okay, she's this great singer, but you don't really get sold on the idea of why she is the one who is entrusted with all this. You're just kind of informed of that. So I'm like, I would have liked a little bit more with her.
Yeah.
But yeah, the design, it's like
Agreed.
it's a bit silly looking.
Well,
but...
it's silly. I hated the singing because I guess I have misophonia. There are certain sounds I cannot stand, and one is like opera singing. But I find it a little, I don't know, like how the hell could all of those
Amadeus
big...
is my favorite movie. That wounds me.
Yeah, just it has never. Okay, I like Phantom of the Opera, like that song, but it's pretty rare. But I just find it hard to believe, like, how could all four of those big ass things? They weren't tall, they weren't small, they were big.
Yeah.
How could they all four fit in her? I don't get that.
Wait, what are you talking about? Oh, that.
stones.
Okay,
The
I'm like, what are you
stones.
talking about? Okay,
The stones.
I thought you were talking about her weird like ear
No,
things.
like they
or
were big. They were
Yeah.
not small.
So, yeah,
and
so what
all
happens-
four of them. I
Yeah,
don't
so
get
what
that.
happens here is, of course, you know, she's doing this weird performance, and for whatever reason, she has been entrusted with those stones. Very important for this, you know, four of the most important artifacts in the entire planet, really. You know, they were the key to saving the world from the great evil, and for whatever reason, she had them. I like what you said, Gord King, because I think, you know, they don't, like this is supposed to be such an emotional moment when she's shot and dies. You know, we see, like, you know, we don't get much of her at all. We maybe get like 3 minutes on screen time with her. We see a strange snippet earlier in the movie, like shortly before this, where she's veiled and you're like, ooh, who's this? She's obviously important. And then, you know, she's unveiled and it's this disgusting creature. And, you know, no offense to her. I sound so bad.
No
but,
offense
you know,
to the
she's
blues out there.
She's she's like, come on. It's like, it just looks cheap, right? We've talked about it. But
Cheap,
you know,
yeah,
when
it
she
does.
dies here, it's you know, it's supposed to be like a sacrificial play. And obviously, I think the creator wanted us to feel for this character. But, you know, there was no reason to, because, you know, like you said, we haven't known her at all.
Yeah.
She's really just Camden fodder. And come on, clearly we were supposed to have some sort of emotional connection here. Bruce Willis obviously did, because for whatever reason in this performance that looked silly, the performance looked so silly. And we're watching, you know, we get snippets
And he's
of
like,
the crowd. They're enamored and he's tearing up.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
It's
Well,
so
here's the thing.
beautiful.
I think they justified his reaction to her shooting, because I think the idea they're going for is that it's not just that her singing is supposed to be beautiful. There's something kind of mystical about it that kind of entrances people.
Yeah, could be.
I would say this. I would forgive her design if she whipped a few Na'vi with those head tentacles. I would totally forgive the design.
What are you talking about?
The Na'vi in Avatar, if she basically just whipped a bunch of them with those things, I would be like, okay, she's great. She's my favorite blue. But yeah, I think the idea is that there's a mystical quality to her singing, and that's part of what creates the attachment. But again, this is the type of thing that a little bit more writing would have greatly enhanced, because I think, like, to me, she is kind of one of the major issues with the movie is that there's a lot that's implied about her that is never shown.
Never
and because you
fulfilled,
are supposed to have some kind of emotional attachment to her, and you're supposed to, I agree, you're supposed to feel that sacrifice.
Yeah.
They don't really do the legwork to make that happen. So it
No.
kind of just is like, oh, okay, she died and he can dig the stones that are somehow inside of her. I mean, granted, I guess the logic of that is because she's freaking huge. I mean, she's pretty big.
Yeah, but 4 big stones worth? I mean...
Yeah, those are some big stones. So, and had they get them in her, I guess they
torso's not
surgically
that
implanted them, because I don't know how you're swallowing those.
And maybe like the inside of her is like the tents in Harry Potter. They're like bigger on the inside.
From what I read, she has like a pouch inside of her, like a marsupial, and I'm like, yeah, but then wouldn't she be kind of fatter?
Ew,
would
what
think.
a weird fact. We
You
don't
would
need to
think.
know that.
Yeah.
Ew, I don't
That's
like
another-
that.
that's
That's
for another
not.
stream.
She's Kangaboo.
Well, you know, okay, come on. Like, this isn't like you know, if we're dissecting the movie, this is not like a small mistake you could just write off. I mean, this is a major moment here. And then when something like this happens,
I wouldn't call the lack of development a major issue. I would call it more just an overt flaw. I mean, because to me, a major issue is something that actually hurts, like breaks the plot a bit, where it's like, okay, now you're like, to me, like a bigger issue in the movie, which we didn't even cover because I mean, it's at the beginning and we talked about a lot of other stuff, but you know, Leeloo just kind of falling into Korben's cab.
yeah, like
I think it's a bigger problem. Like to
perfect.
me, that's a major plot convenience. It didn't even really, now granted, it's not plot breaking necessarily because technically speaking, by the way the events happened, they would have met anyway, but them meeting does give him extra motivation to want to be around her, and her kind of randomly falling into his cab in particular, it's like, okay, that is a pretty huge coincidence there. But that to me is a far bigger flaw than this character's lack of writing, but it is still a flaw that she's not better developed, I think. So I do think it takes the movie down a bit, but not terribly, but it sticks out. It does stick out as a flaw.
Well, it stands out because it's such a strange scene too. Like, I mean, you can't think about Fifth Element without thinking about this lady and this entire sequence, right? I mean, this is probably one of those moments you remember best.
She definitely leaves an impression, and it's just because I think it's because you're supposed to have an emotional connection to the character when she dies, and B, you're supposed to believe that the stones went to her specifically. They need to justify both of those a bit more. You don't even really need a ton to make that work. I think if you had given them one brief conversation and kind of show her persona a little bit, you could have justified that a lot more. Like maybe have her actually talk to Leeloo in that scene where Leeloo's kind of off to the side and hears her. It's like, why don't you have them converse a bit? That way we can actually get to know this person and understand why she's so important, and maybe get a little bit of understanding of her nature, and maybe she's very kind and all this other stuff. It's like, because to me, like the best way to approach it is to do a bit of that, maybe kind of show her as a contrast to Chris Tucker's more flamboyant character where she's more serene and more respectable and stuff. It's like, to me, it sticks out as a major missed opportunity.
You know, I don't care if this is a mistake. I don't want to see her ever again. So it's okay. It's fine.
I agree. She made an impression. I don't think it was just because of those things that you mentioned. I think it was in large part due to this hideous character. Because the important role she plays, even though it is kind of underdeveloped, but also attached to that is this.
Right. I'm wondering if this is they didn't have to do this weird operatic scene, right? They could have just done, they could have done anything else, but they chose to do this. And I'm kind of wondering if this was their supposed to be their attempt to do what George Lucas did with his, his space band in Star Wars. Because that's clearly what you think about here, right? I mean, you think
I would say that's probable.
Cy Snoodles and her band, or you think about the Cantina band of the Buttheads. And other than that, I just can't see why.
It's a bit extra. I think the head tentacles are a bit extra. I think if you remove those, you've improved the design considerably, just like that. Now it doesn't fix it entirely, because to me, the missing element is there's so much to what's on her head that this character who probably should look attractive in some way isn't, because the Twi'leks have that kind of going for them, because you can actually see the faces of the actors. You're like, oh, okay, so they're actually attractive women. Whereas you look at this person, you're like, I don't know if this person's good looking or not underneath all that. I just know what I'm looking at isn't.
Are you attracted to her?
Well, I just said I'm not, so.
It just bothers me because the budget
Think about it some more.
The budget was $90 million and they couldn't have done better.
The actress playing her is very attractive.
Yeah,
$90 million for back
really
in the 90s.
Good looking.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's a big budget for back then.
That's huge. That's almost as big as the Terminator 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's 50% bigger than Jurassic Park.
You know what?
Jurassic Park,
for all the crap,
$62 million.
For all the crap we were giving this, there is some good effects too. The Mangalores, they look good.
Most of the design in this movie is excellent. It's just, and that's kind of why this sticks out a bit, is because it looks. This looks a little.
This looks
too
cheap.
Much.
Okay,
it's the wrinkles and the little stupid curl in the back. It's like, oh, that looks.
We're talking about
really
how
bad.
ugly costumes are. I think this is one of the worst costume decisions of all time. Is these police? Come on.
Yeah, like, just like
That-
they're running around with VRs on their head.
Totally impractical. Looks stupid 100% of the time. This was a big eyesore for me. Was these guys?
The
And it's
helmets
like, you know,
the helmets aren't to me the bother. It's the shoulder pads look a little goofy, but
and the
I'll be honest,
giant,
I'm
you
not
know,
s-
bright
yeah.
circle on their chest.
I'm not super bothered by it because I don't think the police are super relevant to the story overall. I mean, they're a faction that's kind of involved, but they're not all that important. So it doesn't bug me too much. I would be curious what's going on inside the helmet because I would assume it's some kind of VR interface, and it is protective. But yeah, it looks. I'm like, boy, if you're police, you would think you got to run after criminals. You ain't running after nobody in that stuff.
Yeah, right. I mean, I can't imagine this stuff's light. You know,
These
also
are
it's
ground
like,
troopers. They ain't
you
police.
know, so it's like, you know, you mentioned this isn't like that relevant. The problem is this movie, it's just one after the next. You know what I mean? It's like this one. Well, first it's big fat weird aliens that can't walk right, and then you got these police that are, you know, look like dopes, and then you got Chris Tucker that looks like this and acts absolutely nuts. Then you got Blue Girl. And then you got Gary Oldman and his really strange getup. It's like it does not end, people. It doesn't end. It's one after the next.
Well, here's the thing, though. Because you're pointing out it's one after the next, you're kind of pointing out consistency. So
True, I guess.
in the objective sense, it's like it's consistent. So you know, it can. Now I understand why some of it can be off-putting because yeah, this is a guy's like weird, crazy idea of a very absurdist future. And here's the thing, it is absurdist. So that's why I'm more or less okay with most of it. I still argue that Diva is underdone, but like her design is like the least of my issues with her. It's like I would have changed some of it, but it's like it's more the character that I have a problem with. But as far as the design being weird, I'm like it's consistent if nothing else. It's just weird.
See, things can be consistently, you know, like irritating though, right?
Sure. But I mean, I guess what I'm arguing is like that's pretty subjective whether or not it lands for you or not. So like that's why I tend not to argue people's feelings because I'm like if you don't like something, you don't like it. I can't tell you have to like this or something. I can maybe advise give it another chance down the road and see how you feel, but it's that just comes down to feeling, and feelings are what they are. I can't argue people's feelings. I'm just arguing whether the movie's good or not.
You know, one thing we don't have to argue is your, you know, pumpkin skin is probably just as bright as her orange hair.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
Almost
look,
matches.
she's a fine representation of the color orange. So inherently, Leeloo fan here. She gets the multi-pass in the pumpkin.
Nice. Oh, I bet she does. Yeah.
She does.
So you know, her character, this was something that, you know, her character, obviously she's very important and she has a serious, you know, there's some power that we haven't really seen with her yet. Until, you know, this sequence here, of course, with Blue Lady singing, and in the background she's having she's getting into some combat with those Mangalore dudes. And this was like another one of those moments that I thought was just a little too silly for me, where I wonder if this sequence was supposed to be like, you know, just the creator having fun, giving us this silly action sequence, or if maybe we were supposed to take her character seriously. Because when she's fighting these Mangalore guys, it's not so much like, to me, it didn't stand out like it was her like as a superior fighter, but it was just like it looked like, it just seemed like ultra choreographed. She was literally, there's moments in this fight where she's literally smacking them with her hands and it's lethal damage, but she's also very vulnerable at the same time, and she's not like super strong or anything. So I don't know if it like comes down to the Mangalores being like, you know, just kind of fools, or if it's like she is, you know, just a supreme character that can see everything in the future, see
we know she
capable
has.
they are or
We do know she is stronger.
Yeah, I felt like
so. I'm gonna. This is one where I can objectively defend this. This is completely justified. So opening scene with her, what does she do? She breaks through glass.
That's
that is
true.
Supposed
That's
to
true.
be unbreakable.
falls
so they do
into
justify
the
her
yep,
strength.
and
Yeah,
falls
she
into
breaks
the
right
cab
through
from
with the
and
cab.
she's not hurt.
And her
Okay, that's
combat
true.
ability, you could argue the Matrix borrowed from this. Now, granted, the Matrix implements it in a way that I think makes more sense to our brains, logically speaking, because you're downloading ability from a computer, and the way that movie world builds makes it make sense. But you know, the scenes where she's learning various stuff, one of the things she comes across is stuff about Bruce Lee,
Fighting.
and she
Mhm.
it kind
Yep.
of they they make sure to emphasize that sticks out to her especially. So what we're meant to draw from that when we get to the fight scene is that she basically downloaded martial arts into her brain and can now do it. And I'm like, I think they did the legwork with that. So and I think
that's true. That's true.
I agree. The fight scene, it is choreographed and it is kind of quirky and funny. So I think you're meant to take it as, yes, it's kind of a mix of a serious moment and a kind of an absurd moment, but it's there to be fun. But at the same time, it's supposed to show that, yeah, she's a very capable fighter. But part of the reason I do like it is because they don't overdo it. They don't do this over and over and over again where they don't like Mary Sue her to where she's just kicking the crap out of everybody. It's like they put her in a situation where she has to fight, and she holds her own really, really well. But not too long after that, she almost gets killed.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's where it was like, that's why I was like not exactly convinced, because she's super vulnerable. But you make a good point. I totally forgot about that in the beginning where she has like that super strength showcase. Good catch. I missed that. But yeah, I didn't consider her a Mary Sue the whole time, and I didn't think she was annoying for that reason. I think it was more so her behavior and her annoying alien language that she just kept blabbering on.
The thing is, you really could argue in a sense that she is a Mary Sue, technically speaking, if we're going by what we generally define as a Mary Sue. But I think what a lot of people often miss in that kind of a discussion is that it is possible to do a Mary Sue or a Gary Stu well. That's not impossible to do. Now, granted, I wouldn't go that she's a full-blown Mary Sue, because unlike the typical Mary Sue, she actually has to learn her abilities and everything. Like, she has to learn how to fight. She's not born with the ability to fight. She's born strong because she's, genetically superior and everything. But they do the legwork to justify things, unlike the typical modern Mary Sues that we see who
like Rey
just
Skywalker.
show up. Yeah, like the Rey Skywalkers or the Ursas and
the worst of the brood
killers who just show up and are just able to do everything, and you never can quite understand why. But there are a couple of versions of a Mary Sue or close to a Mary Sue that are done well. This is one. I think if you ever see the Studio Ghibli movie Nazca of the Valley of the Wind, Nazca is very much in the mold of a Mary Sue character, but she's really well done. She's actually very well done. So those are very rare examples where, if you want to call it a Mary Sue, I wouldn't necessarily combat you on that, but they're well done. They're actually done pretty good.
That's fair. Yeah, and I mean, for having all that power, and I mean, her being such an important character in the world, obviously she's
usually a bad Mary Sue. Her Mary Sueisms are done at the expense of the male characters. Oftentimes, like that's usually when it's at its worst. And she enhances Bruce Willis's character in a lot of ways. She's very complimentary towards his character, and she's not somebody who can just do everything. Like I said, she almost dies. So
true.
She's not somebody who can just do everything. And oftentimes, her naivety gets them into trouble. So.
Well, you're talking about her almost dying. That gets us to kind of our next segment here, because, soon she has that interesting like educational tool where she's able to like look up a word or like a letter, and she learns everything about a subject, right? And she eventually learns about war, and she sees, this glimpse of all the wars in humanity, and it kind of breaks her. I think, obviously she's a very vulnerable, innocent person. At least
that's one thing. And by the way, that represents one of the other flaws I do have. I do consider that to be implemented as in somewhat of a flawed fashion. I think that should have been done a little bit earlier, and we should have gotten a little bit more about this being kind of an internal story. Like, if I were writing this movie, I would have had her learn about that before she got hurt, and maybe show that there's some inner conflict that maybe she doesn't want to do what she's supposed to do. And this kind of would set her on a bit of an arc where she discovers the good in humanity.
It took all the way to W to figure that out.
Well, I mean, I don't mind even that it takes the W. It's just, you should have done that a little earlier in the film to where she could actually go on something more of an arc to where it's like she discovers, okay, there is something worth saving here, and it's not just done at the last second. So, yeah, like this story-wise, that is something I would consider a flaw.
Yeah, so what ends up happening, where we get to this point is, after the ship, the cruise ship eventually is evacuated because some bombs were planted. That's when we lose our good friend Gary Oldman, the plastic wrapped penis with hair, Zorg. He's left stranded on the ship. It blows up. He's dead. It was sabotaged by one of the.
It's protection, man. It's all about
Yeah.
protecting that plastic
Plaster
wang.
graph. Yeah, that's him literally. So I couldn't stop thinking about looking at him. But from here on out, Chris Tucker, he joins the gang. He's still pretty annoying. He's not as annoying. He's kind of toned it down a little bit. Reality's kind of smacked him in the face, dealing with all this, chaos. But here, the team, they now enter that temple with all four of the elements and the fifth element, of course, which is, Leeloo. And they successfully jumpstart all the elements. They're doing their own little elemental things, connecting. And then they have, of course, Leeloo. She's placed in the middle. She's the fifth element, but she's kind of like reluctant to perform her duties as the fifth element, which is so frustrating, because of where we've gone to this point, the hell that Bruce Willis and the entire team has gone through to get her to here. And she is not really, she's not that interested. Eventually, of course, she, is convinced by the unimaginable love of Bruce Willis. The love saves her and it brings her to the light. And she finally, I don't know. She does what she's made to do, and she opens herself up, and they end up saving the world from the meteor that's crashing at them at an alarming rate. And I think, like, for me, this scene where she's reluctant to help them, I mean, I understand why she was that way. She sees how ridden and how wrong humans are. But at the end of the day, like, all that research and a lot of those glimpses we were seeing, it's like you don't understand the context of what was happening there. And, you're just giving this blanket. I think the idea is you're supposed
to believe she is getting the context, at least on paper. But this is speaking to what I was saying earlier, is if they had built it up a little bit more, and maybe even built up their relationship on the romantic side just a tad bit more. Like, I don't think this is a bad romance story, but I think it's just kind of middling. Like, it needed a bit more to really land. And this is why I would have done her learning about war and conflict and humanity a bit earlier. That way you can have her ruminate on it a little bit more. You can understand that this is a conflict within your heroine, is that now she's less certain about the fate of humanity being an important thing to save. Mm-hmm. I think that would make her far more interesting for far longer, because it's just kind of something they drop in your lap near the end, and it's very easily resolved. I would have maybe done this about 20 minutes prior, to where you're thinking about this for a decent chunk of the third act, if not the entire third act.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, too, I mean, look, Bruce Willis is in the picture, the priest. There's a lot of people that are, obviously good-willed here. And she seemed pretty cool at just like, all right, let's all just die. It's okay. And that, to me, I don't know. I mean,
it seems like she was in a highly depressive state. And when people are like that, they don't consider what other people, like, they just don't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but she snapped out of it super quick,
And there's an element of humanity, no pun intended. There is some humanity to the notion of, when you're presented with a wealth of information, positive or negative, you're going to kind of swing the pendulum very much in that direction, to where it's like, okay, your emotional reactions, if you're seeing a lot of negative stuff, might tend to be more negative. And it's like, but of course, him being around, it's like helps her to swing right back. Again, I think it's done a little bit too quickly and a little bit too neatly.
Yep. It was done too quickly.
Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't break anything, but it's like, it's kind of a missed opportunity, because I think it could have been so much better. I think it could have added some genuine gravity to the ending, which is, I think the ending's fine. I like the ending. It's just, it really could have landed if she had been going through an emotional struggle for a little bit longer, and there had been a little bit more context to bringing her back, swinging that pendulum back to the good side.
You're talking about the romance, and the romance has been kind of subtle. I mean, obviously, I thought, for me, the romance, obviously in the end, it plays a vital role. I mean, if it wasn't for him, telling her he loved her, even though he really doesn't know her, if it wasn't for that, she probably would have just stayed in this depressive state and never, unlocked her true potential like she did, which saved the world. I thought, like, the romance, although it was subtle, like in the very beginning, I thought it was like, okay, come on, this guy, he's talking to some dude about the ladies, and he says, no, I need a perfect girl. She has to be perfect. 5 minutes later, he's in his cab. The perfect girl falls out of the sky into his car. and here we are in the end.
Yeah, and you can
his
argue
love,
like
his love is what saves her, the perfect girl. His perfect love unlocks her true potential. If it wasn't for that, it couldn't have happened. It's like, come on, man. This isn't.
Yeah, you could. I mean,
this
you could
isn't
argue
Disney
that
princesses.
there's an aspect of kind of like almost destiny to it, but because that's never really explored that much in the movie, it more just comes off as a convenience. Like him falling for her, actually, like he's kind of the strength of the romantic side of it, because I actually can buy that he's falling for her. I can totally buy that, because he's coming from a divorce, so he is coming from a pretty depressive state himself.
True.
And having this beautiful woman that as a man, it's like you're immediately in a position of having to protect her. So that brings out that side of a man. It's like, okay, this woman is in need. It's like I can fully get on board with the idea that he's falling in love with her. It's her falling in love with him I would have liked just a little bit more. But I mean, that's why I'm kind of like, I think as a romance story, it's very middling. It could have been good, but it's one of the lesser aspects of the film overall. It's like, it's not that I can't buy it. It's just, it would have hit a lot harder and be way better if they had just done a wee bit more legwork.
Yep, agree.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because for most of the film, she just seems like she's sort of, I don't know, like completely unaware of that
Spectator.
aspect. Yeah. Like she just like he's there, he's helping her, but whatever. Like she's not drawn to him in that way until towards the end.
Yeah, I mean he's holding her like an inch away from his face, so like he doesn't really give her much of a say in it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, like they give you tidbits on her end here and there, like when they reunite after they've been apart for a little while. There's that, when he comes and he rescues her and he's holding her. Like I like her acting. Like it's weird because Milla Jovovich, like dialogue wise, in a lot of her movies is not very good.
Not good.
She's a good physical actor. Her physicality actually works really well in this movie, and even when he's carrying her towards the elevator and the way she's like holding on to him and stuff, it's like all of that is actually done really, really well on her part. So they give you little bits with her, and in a way that helps it because she, her character is somebody who mostly communicates through what she does rather than what she says, because most people can't understand her. But it's just a little bit more would have strengthened it and made the relationship a little bit more poignant.
Good, fair points. I think that was it, though. I mean, that's the end of the story. I was genuine. I guess I was pleased enough with that. I don't think I would have changed anything necessarily. I don't really like the romance angle at the end. I think they could have just left that out. But good for you, Bruce Willis. You got your lady.
Well, I mean, that part was important.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Well, it wouldn't have been saved.
You're a guy. You're charged with taking care of the perfect woman. How you not gonna? How you not gonna want to fall for that? Come on.
Yeah. Whatever. Like one thing.
If you're a single guy, come on.
One thing that I think I heard one of you complimenting earlier, and for me, now I feel like there's just no way you could defend this. Is I think of all the movies I've ever seen, and I'm not just being mean. I'm really not. I truly believe this. I think it has the worst background soundtrack I've heard in my life. Like most of the time, it's like blaring techno music and rock and jazz, and it just seems like when jazz is playing, it's obviously just trying to make this a romance moment, and it just didn't really sit well with me with that. And then with like the techno, I don't know if it had to do with like the sound mixing, but most of it just felt out of place for me. And I think something that could have helped the movie is if it maybe just went with like a more of an orchestra kind of feel, more of a stringed instruments, because I did not care for the background music at all. And I think there was a lot of moments where it was staged well, where I thought I liked what I was seeing, but the music behind it was just like, oh, make it stop. I'd rather watch this muted.
I kind of do get what you're saying there, because granted, I've seen way worse examples of this, so it's miles from being like the worst like implementation of a soundtrack into a movie I've seen. But I would tend to agree, like the soundtrack doesn't complement the movie all that well. I mean, there's times where like the theme they kind of play for Leeloo, that little subtle pitch. I like that a lot. I wish they had actually done more with that tune, instead of just kind of reverting back to it over and over and just leaving it as is. But because it's this nice little note. that sticks out. And anytime I hear that now, it's like, yeah, I'll think Fifth Element, and that's great. I would have liked a little bit more of that. But yeah, I tend to agree the soundtrack is not all that complimentary. And there were times watching the movie where I'd hear a song played and I'd be like, that's weird. That doesn't quite match this doesn't quite fit the scene all that well. But it didn't like grate on my nerves or anything like that. But yeah. I would tend to agree the soundtrack implementation is not very good.
And I mean, it's like that could have been like that could have made a big difference, right? I mean, it could have totally. It's so funny how important the soundtrack is, right? I mean, soundtracks make movies, and it's so strange.
If you're trying to mix like lyrical music into a setting where that doesn't seem natural, you need somebody with some serious expertise in that field. Like if you watch like Tarantino movies like Django and stuff like that, or even Kill Bill, where the music doesn't necessarily fit the setting, but it's still implemented perfectly. That's because it's like you need somebody with a great ear for music. Like, I mean, like if you watch Kill Bill Volume 1, for example, when her and O-Ren are going up against each other, if you listen to that song in its entirety, it's about 10.5 minutes long.
Wow.
The music, like the band, it sounds more like almost mariachi music, but it's in Japan and it's a samurai fight. So it almost seems like there's no way this works, but somehow it actually works it remarkably well. And I think part of the reason is because Tarantino is not so much caring about like where the music's origin is. He's caring about, okay, I'm scoring a scene. So how does this come off to the ear? And he's really good at that. Whoever picked the songs for this, I don't think had a good ear for mixing tone with the scene, with mixing tone of the music. It didn't quite fit. So it probably would have been a bit smarter to just let somebody just score the film. Just score the film with orchestral music, and you probably would have been a lot better off. I tend to agree with that.
It's weird how that works. Isn't it weird how much of a difference music can make? You know, you think of your favorite scenes and just and it's like, you know, unless you're not thinking about it, it just plays in your head and it plays in your heart. It's so strange how that works. How it really adds so much gravity.
Like a great score you notice and a bad score, like a really great music score you're going to notice, a really bad one you're also going to notice. This one, I would say at times I noticed, and usually for the negative.
Yeah, I actually don't, in my notes that I took on the rewatch, I didn't make any mention of the music because that didn't stand out to me at all. So I guess it just like, I don't know, I kind of filtered it out. But yeah, it's true. Music absolutely can make or break a film. I mean, look at movies like Halloween. That movie didn't become what it was until John Carpenter added his score, and then it was like it just created an entire different vibe.
Right. Did it release without the score first?
Well, he like it was done, and I can't remember if he showed it to whoever was important, and it was just like, or he watched it and was like, this is not really working the way I thought, and then he made the score, put it in, changed it completely.
Yeah, a lot of the scenes are just characters walking down the street, and they have the music going on in the background.
Yeah,
I mean, it would just be
It's funny you bring that movie up because like one of probably my hotter takes, so to speak, is that I don't think Halloween is an especially well written film. I get why it's lauded the way it is, but a lot of its atmosphere, even a ton of the atmosphere created in The Shining, even is done by the music score. If you take the music out of The Shining, that movie becomes extremely dull. And I say that as somebody who loves The Shining, but the music does a ton of legwork for creating the necessary atmosphere to make things seem creepier than they are. But if you take that out, you're kind of just staring at very little actually occurring for like the first hour or so. And with Halloween, the music is a major help to the atmosphere of things because most of the characters in Halloween are kind of dumb. They're kind of
they are. But that movie would not have scarred me the way as it did if it weren't for the score and Michael breathing through that mask.
Oh yeah.
Because
like contrast that with like Carpenter's like The Thing, for example, which has a great musical score. But if you take the score out of The Thing, it's still phenomenal. That's still like one of the greatest horror movies of all time. It's just that music just gives it that little extra little bit of greatness to it that elevates it to being one of the greatest of all time. But whereas something like, Halloween or The Shining, if you take the music out, it's kind of a different movie at that point. It's like, this doesn't stick out as much as even a good movie.
Are you going to watch The Shining in IMAX?
Oh, that's right. It's coming back. But
Saturday. Hey, we have the same theater.
I don't think I can go.
I work
so.
weekends, so
I don't think I can go see it.
King.
And it's not going to be in very long, is it? By the time I'm back home, I don't think it's going to be.
It's just the 13th, right?
Just one day.
One day? That's not
I'm
cool.
asking.
No way.
I'm just asking. Is
no,
it just
it
one
might
day?
not. I
I
mean,
think
that's the one
Jaws,
day-
they ended up playing that a long time, and Back to the Future. So I think we'll have some time.
That's right. I wouldn't mind. You know, I didn't develop a greater appreciation for that movie until I think rewatched it after I had seen Doctor Sleep. And then I really grew to like see the quality of that movie so much more. And it was because the sequel
I love Dr.
kind of
Sleep.
lifted it. Oh,
So good.
Dr. Sleep's so
Dr.
freaking
Sleep's a
good.
lot of fun, and Rebecca
Very good.
Rebecca Ferguson.
She
in
was
that, boy,
so
she rocked
convincing.
that hat.
Right? Like, well,
she did.
she was
Rocked that
actually
hat.
extremely intimidating and terrifying. I
She
believed
is.
her.
She's a great. Like,
She's so good.
there's not a lot of great female villains in movies.
No, but she was one of them.
She's
She's
great,
one of them.
yeah.
I
Like, she's-
really don't like the
I loved her in
recasting in that film.
Wait, what are you talking about?
I don't mind.
For-
I get it, but I prefer
was
that
awful.
over doing the
The
CGI.
recasting. The
I
recasting.
hate de-aging so much, so I was fine with the recasting and stuff. If you're talking about
Recasting,
like Jack, and,
no, Wendy mostly.
Are you talking about Jack Nicholson?
is it because
Oh,
she's
So
is it
you
because
know,
the Wendy
I
actress is like not as
Yeah, maybe
Well, I think
she's
what
not
they
really
sh-
ugly.
I think what they should have done for that, and I noticed it with Jack Nicholson's character,
Oh, yeah.
because I think they should have like put a filter
kid
of
from
Jack
E.T.,
Nicholson's
yeah.
face on top of them, and
right.
it would have
Kinda
been
ruined.
it would have made it so much better.
It kind of ruined the nostalgia of it doing that.
Yeah.
I mean,
It does
It
it
didn't
way
help.
better
It
than
didn't
Ready
help.
Player One does, at least. I hate
Yeah.
Ready Player One. So
I've only seen it once.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
fair.
not a
It's so
rewatch. We
funny.
won't rewatch
it
It
is
better
like
than me.
Member Berry the movie. I freaking hate that.
That'd
One of the
be
most
fun to have a video
manipulative,
from you on
one of the
that.
most manipulative pieces of media I've ever seen.
Everybody talked about it when it came out.
Ugh.
It was big.
Yeah, it's because
Yeah.
it is trying to play on your nostalgia for 2 hours, and if you know what's happening, it's so transparent. Like I wouldn't say it's gross, because that is the point of the movie, is to play on your nostalgia and everything. So there is a function to it. It's not very good, but yeah, it's whenever I hear somebody talk about how much they love that movie, I'm like, okay, I expect this person has probably been held back more than once.
Nice. That's not a good sign. Oh man. Well, everybody, I think that's it. I think half our panel here recommends. Oh, actually, it's Luke. Do you recommend this movie? Do you recommend people watch Fifth Element or no?
I would have to. Yes, I do.
Oh, Luke!
I mean, well, I mean,
You switched.
it's one of those movies you have to. I've seen it technically, 2 times in theaters, but I fell asleep granted in theaters. So I would have to watch it again. I feel like I'll enjoy it a lot better if I watch it like all the way through the second time, because there's just so much you can like understand after watching it for the second time. But yes, I do recommend it. I give this movie a solid 7 out of 10.
Oh, you're a
That's not-
simp.
That's
You're
not
a
bad.
simp, bro.
Not 7.5.
You're simping a Gord King.
That's solid
No.
though. It's good.
I'm a convincing
Gorkin
person.
and I have disagreed on it a lot,
Yeah.
but-
Sure.
but I feel like this is something we can agree on.
Yeah. All right, and then you two definitely recommend.
I do.
yeah.
I think this is honestly. I mean, there's even bad movies I don't like that I do recommend, because I think that certain tentpole movies I think are worth seeing, so you can kind of formulate your own views on them. And I think there often is value to even watching movies that aren't especially good. But this is a movie I do think is good. I think this is a good movie to establish taste, even to a certain extent, because it's so odd, and because this. Whether you like this or not, I think it's going to help you to understand like certain other kinds of movies you may or may not be into. But as far as my own tastes are concerned, I happen to think this is a pretty solid film overall. I wouldn't go so far as to call it great, but I think it's very good. It's far better than I thought it was the first time. And there's a lot of little fun details that they implement well, whether it's in the world building or the story. I think their system of quitting smoking is hilarious. I actually thought that was really smart, where they have the much longer filters and stuff, where it's like they're kind of weaning you off cigarettes. I was like, that's actually pretty clever. I like
Yeah,
that.
that was
I mean,
good.
I like the
But,
world. It felt very lived in and grimy and authentic, and I felt that those visuals held up very, very well.
Mm.
Yeah. I'd give it a 7.5.
I would give it a 7 to a 7.5, depending on the mood I'm in when I watch it on a particular day.
I'd give it a 4 out of 10.
Yeah,
let's
we
see.
expect as much.
And our friend Delos would give it a 6.7.
6.7.
I actually think for a movie
Hey,
you don't
Delos.
like, giving it a 4 is not. I think that's a respectable grade to give a movie you don't like,
Yep.
because a lot. Yeah, well, 'cause,
I agree.
mean,
There's merit to it.
well, I mean, yeah, and that's it's funny because like usually when I give a movie I don't like a 4, like I think Titanic's like a 4 to a 4.5 out of 10. I don't think that's a very good movie, but it has merit that I can't deny.
Yes.
So, and that to me is what a 4 is. I'm calling it bad, but with a good amount of merit.
Yes. Respect, man. Respect. Let's say just a few. Oh, Projectile says 3 out of 4 victory. Bob loses tonight. Oh, you suck, man.
Boo,
You
Bob.
suck.
He told me that he asked me to. He didn't know I was on the panel. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna gather some people. We're gonna bully Brawler."
Oh, and you know what? Nobody joined you, Projectile. Nobody joined you. And every time I fought back.
He
my
might
ground.
have stopped gathering after I said, "Hey, I'm gonna be on the panel. Don't you worry. I'm gonna defend it.
Oh
I'll defend the
gosh,
movie."
it was all respectable though. Everybody did a great job. Everybody
Yeah.
watching, thank you all for watching us today. Had a great time with this great panel of guests. Thank you, Papa Pumpkin, Gord King, and Sin for joining me. It was a lot of fun, and Luke,
Yeah.
as always.
Yeah.
Be sure everybody to check out their channels. Links in the description below. Both these guys are very active and very different content. So be sure to check them out. And yeah, real pleasure having you guys on. And stay tuned for next Tuesday, everybody. Next Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We're always 10 p.m. on Tuesdays, Eastern Time. We're talking about Mummy, Brendan Fraser's Mummy. So
Ooh,
Gord
finally. Timely.
consistency.
Yeah, I know. So that's interesting. You said
Have
this
you
is like the
seen The
Mummy.
Mummy?
No, I've never
Yeah.
seen Mummy.
I've
It's
never
the
seen
first
The
time.
Mummy.
Gosh. That one I
Yeah.
think you might find
I
more
can't
compelling.
believe you've never
1999
seen
version?
like that one, right?
I've seen the newest one. What is it with Tom Cruise?
Oh, gosh,
that,
no.
that one doesn't
No.
count. But I can't believe you watched Terminator 2 before you watched the Terminator. What the hell is
Oh
wrong
no,
with you?
Terminator 1. We did a stream on.
You
2.
haven't. Oh,
We
okay.
didn't-
For some reason, I was like, you didn't see it. I was like, what
No,
the heck?
I'm not like that. I'd never
Why?
do that.
Okay.
No, I'm
okay.
not that lost.
All right,
Come
I feel
on.
better. I feel better.
Jeez, yeah.
Don't get mad that I saw T2 before T1 back.
Dude.
Yeah.
I've
I mean,
seen
ultimately,
T2,
I've
but I
seen
haven't seen
T1.
You
multiple
sequel
times
watcher.
now, but I was a kid. I was taken to my dad was like, "Hey, we're going to the movies." I was like, "Okay, cool." We saw T2. I was like, "This is awesome. Can I see the first one?" He's
Yeah,
like,
okay.
Nice.
Well,
nudity in
yes,
that one. So
but well,
no,
not
but-
just nudity. There was like,
Oh, they
you
didn't
know.
care about they didn't care about violence and language. I saw
Yeah.
RoboCop when I was 5. So
No, I mean, there's like, there's
You're
a pretty.
crazy.
there was
I mean,
some intercourse in the
5
first
years later.
There's
Terminator.
a yes, exactly. Important to know, but not
There was some
important to see.
copulation.
Nice. Well, I think that's going to do it for all of us, everybody. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next Tuesday. And always remember, everybody, I've been telling my parents this for the longest time. I was raised on this principle that whenever you're in a room, whoever you're talking to, just remember 2 things. Give them the Duke and give them the dog. See you guys later.
What kind of person are you? Are you the kind that sees signs, sees miracles? Or do you believe that people just get lucky?